This is from Norman Wright, and he has a list of 11 major losses. So real or material, that's, an actual thing that got lost. For many of us, we had one of our first real losses in life was as a child. You lost a stuffed animal, you lost a grandparent, you had a real material loss. Okay, an abstract loss. When you don't feel love, hope, ambition, control. That was a really big one for me. Just did not feel like I had any control over anything in my world. And so I was grasping for those things because I wanted to be able to have at least the hope that I had some control, some love, some of all those things. So it was dark. It was dark when you lose those abstract things in life. Imagined losses, that's kind of along the line where we were talking, what if I don't get to go back to work? What if they fire me because I can't do this job from home? I have all my kids here and I'm trying to teach them and do these things. And what if? So now we have an imagined loss. A relationship. Especially in COVID, we lost a lot of relationships, whether through death, whether through differences of opinion, whether through not being able to be together and work and do life. Intrapsychic, that's your self-image, the death of your dream, maybe losing face or what you want people to see you as. And so that's a loss. That's a place to grieve what you see yourself as or what you wanted others to see you as, but those things aren't true. They don't match, and that's a loss. Functional, so as in like a stroke or something stops working and you're not able to do those things independently for some reason. And so you have a loss of function. You might have a role loss, like those of us who went to work pretty close to every day, and then COVID came, and maybe you're like me and you had to stay home because the kids had all this homework to do and all these teachers to answer to. And how were they supposed to do this? And some of them, they can operate a computer, but they don't know how to type. They don't, all these things. And that was just really overwhelming as a parent to say, I can't expect my kids to do all of this while I'm at work every day. So I stepped away from my role as a nurse working in a practice. And so those are losses, okay? I no longer had that title, that role, that job, that place in the world. A systemic loss, many of us belong to systems, right? And when things change, our worlds get upset, okay? So the same thing, school. You're supposed to go to school, right? You sit in the chair, you learn, you do your activities, you go play. Well, now our system's completely switched. Now we're online. We sit at our home in our desk. We try to get out of bed in the morning. We have very little routine and our systems are just changed. And that's a loss. Losses can be threatened. We talked about that a little bit. Just the fear or the, real possibility that something pretty major is going to happen, positively or negatively even. And then ambiguous grief. Maybe you have a family member with Alzheimer's. They're here, their body's here, right? But they're not the same person that you once loved. And so you have this really weird experience of losing them, but they're still alive. What does that look like? What does that mean? Okay, adoption is another idea of that, where you have a parent and they're not there. And for some reason you have another parent, and that's good and wonderful, but that doesn't change the fact that you still have another parent out there and you don't know what's happening or all the understanding of all that situation. So it's an ambiguous grief. And then disenfranchised grief, things that we just don't talk about, right? Childhood traumas, that is bad things. There's bad people in the world. And sometimes those bad people are the people who are supposed to love you. That's hard. Okay. What do you do when your dad's in jail? How do you, your uncle's in jail? That's my story. You know, what do you do with that? You can't just tell people that. It's weird that, you know, oh, well, good. I'm glad he's in jail. Me too. I'm glad he's in jail too, but that doesn't mean that it's not hard. Okay. So those are things that we just don't talk about. And society doesn't really want to deal with them, but yet if it's a part of your story, it's a part of your story. And how do you deal with that? And that's a lot of a lot of what I really feel like I'm pretty strong at dealing with, because that's how I often felt, is that I wasn't allowed to talk about things and they were too hard, too shameful.